What was your most sexual non-sexual interaction? Story 1. Sat on a bus next to a beautiful stranger for a long trip. We talked for a while because we were going to be up in each other's personal space for the next half a day. So the trip goes on. We're minding our own business, I'm busy reading, and then suddenly I feel something lean up against my shoulder. She had fallen asleep and her head was resting on me. I thought I couldn't wake her up cause that would be rude, so I just sat and kept minding my own business. A couple of minutes, and she started pressing her leg against me, and then finally over my knee. She wakes up like half an hour later, realizes the situation, and profusely apologizes. I know she was just sleeping, but I am going to lie if I say I hadn't imagined the next 30 years with her LMAO. Reply. Even I regret you not asking for her number. Reply 2. I had a pretty girl fall asleep leaning on me on a Greyhound while I was asleep. I woke up, then she woke up, looked up at me, and curled into me and went back to sleep. We didn't talk, and she got off before I did. Ships in the night or something. Story 2. When I was a teenager I had to see a rheumatologist. She was fairly young and very attractive. She did a test by poking her fingers into pressure points all over my body. A few times it made me yelp in pain. She leaned over and whispered in a deep voice, "Sorry about that. I'm very good at inflicting pain. I just about died." Reply. Had to get an ultrasound on my balls once and the nurse doing it was drop-dead gorgeous. She then proceeded to apply a warm lubricant to my balls and rub them with a wand thing for 15 minutes. Also I was 17 so I was fighting for my fucking life in there. Reply 2. I'm a nurse, and not what one might think of as traditionally attractive, and I have had more than one man get a noticeable erection when I had to medically handle his dick. In a career of dicks, it won't much stand out for her, I promise. Story 3. I was a music major but got interested in programming near the end of my college career. I was about to graduate, but still wanted to take some math in hopes of maybe getting into some software engineering classes before my school finally sent me out into the wide world. My Calculus 1 Class 1 subsequently enrolled in had a bit of group work with our assigned desk partners, and as I sat down in our first class, I immediately noticed that my desk partner was gorgeous. She introduced herself with an unusual name, and I assumed she was used to people mispronouncing it because she immediately instructed me, forcefully, almost angrily, to repeat it by saying, "Say it. Say my name." I couldn't stand up for a few minutes. Reply. Say it. You'll never forget it. Story 4. When the hairdresser washes your hair before a cut and gives a bit of a head massage. Reply. It's the main thing I miss about having hair. Reply 2. But then it is just a face massage that goes all the way back. Story 5. I passed another hiker on a bluffside trail and meant to simply greet him with a friendly, "Hello." But the word accidentally came out all sexy sounding like a bad phone sex operator. Other hiker did a double take and my SO laughed like a braying donkey the whole way back down the bluff. Gives me shit about it to this day. Reply. Stupid sexy Flanders. Story 6. I was making a delivery and a woman came out to greet me and I said, "I have a rather large package," and she said, "I certainly hope so," and we looked at each other like awkward for a bit. Reply. If you didn't wink, I'm ashamed. Story 7. A girl was hiding out in my room from her friend. She had to answer a call and I asked if she wanted pasta. She responded, "Yep, thanks daddy," and I genuinely didn't know how to respond. She later explained that I reminded her of her dad's house and didn't think before responding. Still threw me through a loop. Story 8. A worker at a fast food restaurant gave me some vibes like she was attracted to me. Then when I tried paying for my food by debit card, the machine didn't read it properly, so she then looked me in the eye and said in a flirty voice, "You're gonna have to pull out," referring to the card, "then you can put it back in a few times." It was probably all in my head, but I've never before had such an innocent interaction with such a sexual undertone. Reply. Innocent innuendos are gold. Had a female coworker years ago complaining her weed eater wasn't starting correctly. I noticed she only had it on half choke, not full to start it. Literally all I said was, "You're not choking it enough." And I looked up at her and her face was beet red. I couldn't tell from embarrassment or the innocent innuendo. Story 9. When I found out a second plane hit the WTC on 9/11. I was in 8th grade and had an orthodontist appointment that morning. The dental tech that was working on me had huge breasts and IDK if she just didn't know, but they'd always rest on my head and I'd have to flex my thighs for the entire half hour she would work on my mouth in order to not get a middle school erection. So now, I hear anything about 9/11 and it makes me think of boobs on my head. Reply. Where were you when 9/11 happened? At the dentist getting smothered with titties. Story 10. In college, had a roommate who was dating an extremely wealthy girl. Her parents bought her a $300K apartment to live in while she was in school. Just stupid money. And one night, the three of us went out for some drinks, then went back to her place to crash since the bar was right down the street. They went to bed and I slept on the couch but at some point rolled onto the floor. When I woke up in the morning I smelled coffee and looked over to see my roommate's GF in a tank top and panties. It gets worse. It was a split second later my body remembered my back is made of jello and moldy bread and I couldn't move that much so I attempted to crawl on the couch. The GF knows of my marshmallow spine and immediately comes over and helps me to the couch and sits down next to me and goes, "Don't worry, my mom is a masseuse and my dad is a chiropractor. Ill fix it. I got a massage from a half-naked woman who was just out here doing the Lord's work while I couldn't move for multiple reasons." Best part. Roommate walked out of the bedroom and didn't even question it. Reply. I'll just lay here, face down, for several minutes when you're done. Nothing to see here. Story 11. Not sexual per se, but very romantic feeling. When I was in college I booked a cheap flight home for the holidays on a very small plane. Took off in a pretty massive thunderstorm, to the point that gusts of wind were lurching the plane like some kind of cheap carnival ride. Sat next to a very cute girl a few years older than me, newly engaged. She showed me her ring. When the wind started to pick up, she looked over nervously and asked, "I'm a little scared, could I maybe hold your hand?" I said sure, and she reached over and she kept my hand locked in a death grip for about 20 minutes, while talking about her family and fiancé, to keep her mind off of things the whole time. After we landed safely without any issues, she just looked so grateful, said a relieved, "Thank you," and gave me a quick hug as we were leaving. It was very sweet. I was still pretty awkward with women at that point in my life and it felt great to make a positive connection in that way. Story 12. Took a ballroom dancing class in college. Last class 1 got paired up with a girl I hadn't met before. We didn't say much, but there felt like there was some instant chemistry or tension. About halfway through the class we were just about to do a waltz. I went up to her to start, and for some reason I just grabbed her and pulled her sharply into me. She gasped, flushed deep red, and broke out in a sweat. "Hey, stop. You're pretty cool. Subscribe for more. Yo."